Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. Well, the lead story on Zero Hedge now is war drums. An official tells CNN the U.S. could strike Syria within hours. So it does appear that some type of action is going to occur over there. We have the chemical weapons report and things like that. Now, we all know that I think we'll use this quote from Hiram Johnson. The first casualty when war comes is truth. It's been quoted in various ways, but we know that modern day war is generally couched around terms of moral outrage. So there's got to be some type of outrage, and that's usually what is used to bring us to war. Of course, we know that the reason for war is economic. It is not moral outrage or human rights. That's just an excuse that governments use. So if we look at a poll from CNN or Reuters, only 9% of the respondents said that the Obama administration should intervene militarily in Syria. So whatever the value of the chemical weapons story, and I have no idea what the truth is behind it. I guarantee you we're not getting the truth. Whatever the moral outrage value of that is, it's not convincing the American people. So less than 1 in 10 actually support some type of military intervention in Syria. I don't think that's going to make any difference. I think that they've made these decisions a long time ago. I'm not certain what is behind it. There's a lot of speculation, whether it's oil, whether it is strategic involvement with Israel, or whether it's a beginning of the foray into going after Iran. I don't know the answer to that, but clearly the powers that be have already decided that Assad needs to be overthrown. We've already seen the same sort of thing go on in Egypt, Tunisia, Libya. So something big is happening, and also something big is happening now in Yemen and Saudi Arabia. They're rearranging the global chess pieces, and I don't think that there's going to be any stopping them. Certainly the disapproval of the American public is not having any effect on that. So I really wanted to look at what the economic impact is and what the markets are saying. Now, let's start off with the Iranian rial. Now, this is the currency of Iran, and you can see I've drawn on this chart. We're all the way up now at nearly 25,000 to the dollar. You can see that in mid-July, basically the currency was cut in half. Now, the government of Iran had been reporting different rates. You can see that they're pegged there, but the black market was trading that whole time. Of course, Iran has been frozen out of the SWIFT payment system, and because of that, they're not able to exchange their currency in the normal ways that all other countries do. So that's caused a collapse in their currency. Now, this isn't the only currency that we're seeing a collapse in. There's a collapse happening in the Indonesian rupiah, and there's also a tremendous devaluation going on in the Indian currency. So a lot of these currencies are collapsing. Now, that's always going to be against the dollar. The main currency is the euro, and the dollar is pretty much just sitting steady. Again, those other currencies are not in the basket, but nevertheless, they're being valued against the dollar. So I want to look at oil because that would be something that we would expect to be impacted by a potential war. We can see that for a while now, oil has been consolidating in some sort of flag formation, but it doesn't appear, well, it has a breakout here, and that was one I drew before, but it doesn't appear to be able to break out into new highs above this 111, 112 level, and then of course to make a run at the old highs, it's going to have to break through this 115 level. Now, I covered before the difference between Brent and WTI. This is the WTI contract. Nevertheless, the fact that it hasn't broken out into new highs on these war rumors, that gives me somewhat of a pause. The other thing that gives me pause is the gold price. Now, gold has been strong, but not as strong as one would expect it to see. If we pull up the daily, it's just been kind of gradually getting stronger, but nothing that would indicate a huge spike either up or down. Normally it's up with gold because it's considered a safe haven when war breaks out. Usually the price of gold spikes, and then depending on the outcome of the conflict, it can go the other direction. Silver, on the other hand, is a little bit stronger. Now, we had that move above 24. You can see we've stabilized above that 24 price, and we made a quick run in the overnight session almost up to 24.50 and then corrected back. But you can see that it's still a fairly strong pennant or flag. Normally, now that's not 100% of the time, and of course that's only true until it changes, but normally in a bull move like that, when you see these flags like this, somewhat similar to this one here, the next move is going to be an up spike. So how long this will consolidate, or if it will actually reverse and go down, we don't know. But you can see that this last one kind of consolidated for about 5 or 6 days, and then it got that breakout to the upside. So at 24 to 25, we're still looking for that big kind of air pocket of lack of resistance here that's going to be between the price of 25 or so and 26. There's just really not a lot there. We're waiting to see if it can break through this level and then break through that level. Of course, is going to be that major downtrend line that's going to come in around 26. So those are the levels that we're watching. Now, what is the impact on the price of silver with war? Well, it depends on what type of war we're talking about. Are we talking about something like what happened in Libya, where it's just an overthrow, not really a world war? A lot of people are reporting that this one has a potential of breaking out into a world war with the involvement of Russia and China coming to the aid of Iran and Syria. Now, if that's the case, I would expect to see much larger moves than we've seen in the markets. And I'm not saying that the markets know ahead of time, but I would at least expect people to be placing their bets. That doesn't seem to be the case. So if I were to make a guess, just based upon the markets, I would say that probably Assad is going to be removed from power, and then some new government will be formed, and there probably won't be a larger conflict involving Iran, Russia, and China. That would be my best guess based upon the action of these markets. Now, what is the impact on silver? Well, we know that silver is the most important industrial commodity behind oil, and it's going to be used especially in all types of high-tech gadgets. That's including weaponry and everything else. So one would expect increase in conflicts to be bullish for the price of silver based on the industrial use, and then also there would be a sympathy effect with gold if there is a rush to safety, and that's actually a rush towards gold as opposed to a rush towards U.S. Treasuries. Traditionally, the rush to safety has always been toward U.S. Treasuries, but then again, right now, U.S. Treasuries are basically paying nothing, and the Fed is really the only one that's buying them. At some point, I think there will be a transition from a rush to paper to actually a rush to physical gold and silver. and the safety being perceived as a wealth, real wealth, as opposed to just a promise or obligation. So I think that increased military conflict is probably going to be more bullish for silver than it is for gold, but it's probably going to be very bullish for both. And I expect that if gold does break out, and you can see the trend lines that we're looking at here, gold has broken out of the lower one and is shooting for that 1475 price to resume some kind of an uptrend. If gold continues up and makes it through that price, you can see with gold we have that same sort of air pocket effect that we have in silver. You can see between roughly 1490 and all the way up to 1550 or so, there's pretty much a pocket of no resistance. So it's highly likely if it gets through this old high here of 1490, it's going to make a run hard at 1550 to 1600. If that happens, I expect silver to follow on the heels of it, to be carried up just by sentiment and sympathy. So we're going to see in the next few days if this war is going to happen. Again, based on the price of oil and based on the price of the precious metals, it appears to me that the markets believe, and also the stock markets have not really made any serious corrections. The markets seem to believe that either there will be a very, very small scuffle, not very long, not protracted, certainly not a world war scenario. And my guess based upon that is that Assad is going to be removed from power and a new government will be put in place. And we'll talk to you next time.